Our I can statement for today is E3. I can solve one-step multiplication equations. This is day 2 of this topic, so if you haven't already, go back and watch day 1's video. All right, so these directions say graph all the possible values for m that make the equation true. So the first thing we got to do is figure out what values of m make the equation true. In other words, we're going to solve our equation. Okay, then after we have solutions, then we need to graph them. So graphing is the one extra step. And as we'll see, this is going to help us to have a step ahead when we start on the inequality section. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to notice that there is both a negative and a 5 on the same side as our m. And I want to remind you that we learned earlier in our number system unit that you can put the negative anywhere in a fraction. So you could rewrite this as m over negative 5. And that's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to think of that. And you can do that in your head. You can actually physically rewrite it if you want. But I want you to think of the negative going with the 5. And the reason for that is when we multiply both sides to get rid of the m, we are going to want to get rid of the 5 and the negative at the same time. So, since m is divided by negative 5, we're going to multiply by negative 5 on both sides. Okay, so that's a reminder that if we have negative 5 times m over negative 5, remember the negative 5s are going to cancel out, so we end up with 1 times m or 1m. Okay, now we've got to do the same thing on both sides. So we're going to multiply negative 10 by negative 5, and we're going to end up with positive 50. Now, let's do the check real quick. 50 divided by 5 with a negative in front should equal negative 10. Well, 50 divided by 5 is 10. Negative times 10 gives us negative 10. This looks good. So this is our final answer. Here's how we graph it. I want you to put a 50 in the middle. To the right, I want you to put 51. To the left of 50, I want you to put 49. And then I want you to put a dot on all the values that make this equation true. In this case, that would be 50. Okay? All right, let's try another. Okay, so k is divided by negative 9. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 9. So the negative 9s cancel out to 1. So I have 1 times k, or 1k. Then I can either type into my calculator, or I can do the multiplication by hand. With this one, we could cancel out a 3. So we get 1 and 3. And negative times negative is going to give us a positive. So when we multiply straight across, we end up with 3 over 1, or positive 3. Now let's plug this into our equation to do our check. So 3 divided by negative 9 should be equal to negative 1 divided by 3. And yep, those two are equivalent. So k equals 3 is our final answer. To graph this, we're going to put 3 in the center. We're going to put 4 and 2 next to it. And then we're going to put a dot on 3. Now, you could number your number line in many different ways. Okay? You could have instead counted by 2s. So that would be 3, 5. That would be 1. You can count by 10s for some numbers, but you do need to have at least 3 numbers on the graph at all times. Okay, I want you to try this one on your own. This is a review from yesterday. Don't forget, once you've found your answer, to check it and then graph the values that make it true. When you're ready to check your answer, go ahead and start up the video again to check. All right, so I divided both sides by 4, so I got x equaled 3. I plugged that back into my original equation for the check. 4 times 3 is 12, so both sides are equal, so I know that this makes my equation true. To graph, I put 3 in the middle, I included 2 other numbers on my number line, and I put a dot over 3 to indicate that this is the value that makes the equation true. Try number 4 on your own. If you're not ready to check quite yet, go ahead and pause the video, start it back up when you're ready. All right, so with this one, I divided both sides by 3.25. So I got x equals 8. I plugged that back in my original equation, and indeed, both sides balance out. And then I graphed 8 as my value in the middle with a dot on it, and then I put 2 other values on the number line. Okay, now let's take a look at a story problem. Now remember, we're in the equations unit, so we want to make sure that we're first writing an equation to model the situation, and then second, we're going to solve the equation to find the answer. So we are scheduled to work 8 hours last week at our part-time job, and you made $58.24 total last week. How much are you making per hour? So the question clues me in on what my variable needs to be. So per hour, I can use h as my variable. So if I work 8 hours last week, I can do 8 times the amount that I make per hour, and that needs to equal $58.24. So that's my equation. Now I can solve my equation. I'm going to divide both sides by 8. Okay? And those of you that might have already started doing the calculations in your head when we were reading the problem, this would be the first step you would do even without an equation. So if we divide $58.24 by 8, we get $7.28. So that's going to be the amount that I make per hour. Remember, you can watch the video as many times as you need to so that you understand the concept. Pause, try the problems on your own, check your answer, and thanks for watching.